Welcome to the name game. The name game is a game you play with your dog that will help them turn and look at you on the first call of their name every single time. The reason why we play this with reactive dogs is because if we can break the eye contact between your dog and the thing that scares them, we can actually reduce their anxiety and keep them from erupting. It is the longer they stare at the thing that scares them, that's what makes them erupt. It builds their anxiety and they try to make the scary thing go away by barking. So here I'm playing the name game with Annika. She's the big puppy here. Gracie's the little one who's just tagging along. I'm going to wait for Annika to not look at me, and then I'm going to call her name, and when I see her eyes look up at my face, I mark it with a yes, and then I feed a treat. Right here I'm ignoring her because she knows this game. And there I just called her name. I say yes and give her a treat. I'm just giving Gracie a treat because she's hanging out with me. And I'm trying to get her to sit here to accept. There she goes. No jumping up to get your treat. So I wait for Annika not to look at me. I call her name, she looks, I mark it with a yes and feed a treat. Sometimes you need to ignore your dog. I just simply do this by pretending I don't see them, and they'll eventually look away, just like she did there. I call her name, I mark it with a yes when I see her eyes, and then I feed her a treat. So Annika here is onto my game, so she's continuing to stare at me. So here I've got to ignore her and pretend like we're not playing until I can get her to look at something else. So I just kind of meander around as if I'm not doing anything and look out the side of my eye to see her look at something else. She had dipped her head, so I called out her name, marked it with a yes, and fed her a treat. Now, let's suppose that Annika did not look at me at the time that I called her name. Whatever you do not want to repeat the name. We want our reactive dogs to look at us on the first call of their name every single time. So, if I call her name and she does not look at me, I want to make sure that I do not repeat the name, but I make any other sound to get her to look at me. Makes no difference. She's down here going, hey. They like those sounds. So they will bring their heads up and look at us at the time we make that sound, and then we will mark it yes, and then give a treat out. So whatever you do not repeat their name. Say the name. If they look at you, yes, treat. And if they do not look at you, make any other sound possible. Another thing that I do is I stop moving. So I do not let them continue to explore their environment and say, just a minute, I'll be right with you when I'm done smelling this bush. I stop moving, so then I wait, make any other sound, and then they will turn and look at me. Sometimes you may, in the beginning, have to wait a long time, and that's okay. The more you do this, the faster they will start to look at you. So when you see another dog, or a bicycle, or a human, or anything that scares your dog, you can then ask for them to break their eye contact, because that is what's going to get them to erupt. You can break their eye contact by asking for their name. They will turn back and look at you, and that will calm and diffuse the situation. Good luck, and practice the name game.